The play is about the events of Friday 4th, Saturday 5th of December, Storm Desmond, which I'm going to quote lines from the play here, which effectively dumped a river of water on Lancaster. And knocked out the power. So it's about people's experience of being without power for 3 or 4 days. And it's also about Lancaster District's history as well. The way that Sarah MacDonald-Hughes has written the play has been entirely based on stories that people sent in, so people's own real life bits of evidence, interviews that we conducted, and because it was real people's lives and experiences, we thought the best way to do that then to make the show would be to make it with those same people who told us their stories. So a lot of the people in the cast were people that generously gave us their stories and had pretty unique experiences of Storm Desmond.
I used to be in the youth theatre at the Duke's, early 90s basically. And my mum had seen in one of the local magazines that they were appealing for people to come and get involved. So I thought, I'll come and have a look and then disappear and not do anything about it. And now I'm involved and on the penultimate show. And I've really enjoyed it.
I got involved because Alex came to my school, Morecambe High, to do a workshop with the younger years, and sixth formers came along to take part, and he saw me do a little bit of the script that they were planning for Blackout, and then he emailed me and asked me to come along because he had a part in mind for me.
I moved to Lancaster only 2 months ago, with part of the intention of coming here was to be able to do new things and to be able to get involved in the life of Lancaster, and I've done this with a vengeance because I heard about this opportunity to join the Dukes 2 weeks before I move, and it's more or less taken over my life for the last 10 weeks.
And I got involved really because I'm a friend of Duke's, and you get sent emails every month, and there was an email from Alex asking if people wanted to be involved in Blackout. I did know of Blackout a little bit because I'd seen the stories that people had written for Duke's, and they had a little display in the cafe bar. So I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know that part of the idea behind that was going to go towards making a play.
It was quite a nerve-wracking to embark on, because there was so little time, and because there are so many people involved. I think Peter, the other professional actor, and myself were a little frustrated to begin with, because we were concerned that there wasn't going to be the opportunity to rehearse, to really build on things, because it seemed to be about just getting everybody where they needed to be, and so many bodies, and the script was complicated. And in a way, I think I couldn't quite see where we were going until we got into the theatre.
It's all seemed to have happened quickly, from getting the script to, gosh, we're only 3 weeks. You know, it wasn't like 2 months.
You know, it's been so exciting and so interesting, and there's so much to think about, and it's really just given me, you know, a bit of a zing in my normal life when I'm at work every day. I know I've got this to look forward to, so it's just been really, really good fun, and I've had such a good laugh, so lots of jokes.
It's certainly been interesting. A little frustrating in a way, because there's been so much technical stuff to sort out that it's meant a lot of hanging around, which is inevitable in a project like this. You just have to accept that. But interesting, certainly.
I'm a Celebrity 2015 is... We're sitting...
High point of the process is probably a week into the run, I think, when everyone's clearly enjoying themselves and more relaxed with it.
And the lights.
Because obviously opening a show is quite a pressured time. The technical rehearsals were quite intense. There was a lot of work to do, and when people open the show, they're quite nervous. But a week in, to see people really enjoying performing the show, and to come in before a show and to feel that energy from people.
Well, initially it was absolutely terrifying, and I was going to do a Stephen Fry and leave the performance and run out the back door. That was the first night, and gradually I began to love it. The clammy hands went, and I really got into it.
It's made me more aware of what happened back in 2015, because my mum rang me up and she just said, oh, it's awful here, there's been a blackout. And I didn't really think anything of it, but going through this play, it's made me realise just how important it is to make everyone else realise that our dependency on electricity is going way too far. I think even though it's a small community play, it's important to spread this message.
It's been really interesting. I think because I love theatre, but I've only ever really seen it from, being in the audience. And because it's such a professional show, so having a professional set, professional director, performing with professional actors, it's been fantastic. It gives you a real insight into what it's like to put on a professional show, really, yeah.
The strength of the ensemble and the young people was amazingly impressive because they were faced with tremendous changes, with technical problems to solve, having to exercise patience, camaraderie, good humour, all of those things which should happen in a theatre production anyway, because you are a family for that short burst of time when you're rehearsing a play, and you have to trust each other and make great leaps of faith in order for the play to come off. And they just did it, and they threw themselves into it, and I have been impressed since we opened.
Well, it's working with a lot of professionals. For example, Peter and Chris, it's been great working alongside professional actors who have been in the industry for a long time, because they can give you a lot of advice, which is quite useful, and especially playing off professional actors, that's very different from amateur theatre, and you can get a lot out of that.
I've got a lot of experience and I've met a lot of really interesting people, and the whole experience of the play has been really good. It's been quite interesting finding out loads of different viewpoints of everybody's experiences of the floods, because there were a lot of experiences depending on where you lived.
I'd say new things I got out of it was working with professionals, that's great, because then you can get some tips or new advice. And then working with a big cast, usually might be a cast of 5 to 7. It was a cast of 20, which was pretty big, so we have to work together a lot. And it's getting used to the professionalism of coming to a theatre, making your own way, not you have to do it because you've got to go to school sort of thing.
It's something that I never thought I would ever do. It's something that I've never considered doing, and having the opportunity to be part of Blackout has just been a wonderful experience.
It's been incredibly interesting. I feel I really understand what goes to the making of producing of a play. It's made me look very closely at a script, so I feel I've learnt a lot. The camaraderie has been great. It's been very interesting, yeah.
It's been really good actually meeting a lot of people, because I've just been saying in the green room how nice everybody is. I've never been in a group with so many people that I've actually liked before. Yeah.
The great thing is that these are the real people who were involved, whose houses were flooded, whose neighbours were having troubles, and I think that gives it an edge that you can't get if you bring in actors from somewhere else.
I think everybody's got stronger and stronger. They're working extremely nicely together, and on a personal point of view, my character, my part is very satisfying to play. It's based on a real person in the town who came to see it with all the staff of her shop. And when I was passing the shop the other day with my dog, she ran out and hugged me. And that was a bit good, actually.
For me, it's been a bit strange because every night it's kind of been like reliving 2015, especially when and the weather's been so bad. Walking outside, it's been quite traumatic, but I suppose in a funny kind of way I've kind of processed it, so that's been the value for me. But I think hearing some of the stories, and obviously there's a huge body of information now that exists, so it's really good to see that going forward. So for me, it's all about people being able to tell their stories and it being recognised instead of it just being something that happened 2 years ago.
Well, I've learnt, I suppose, working together in a team as part of a cast is very, very important. And I think we've been very lucky in our cast that we have gelled together very well and we all get on very well, and that really has benefited us through the performances.
I've enjoyed this very much. I've not worked professionally before, but I've always been involved in the local panto. People come without ever being on a stage before, and I don't know, that just gives me a buzz, that. I love the camaraderie. I love working as a group. I'm a ceramic artist and work in a solitary environment, so I really love working as a group and working at one thing and seeing it take off.
It might gently educate. I mean, you shouldn't really do educational theatre with too much of a strong point. You should, it should be very gentle and with humour and humanity. And it's all in this play. So it's gently persuasion.
I think it's extremely valuable in that it gives everybody the chance to get involved, and the theatre becomes something that anybody can have a go at, because the majority of people hadn't done any acting before. So, and everyone's moved on in a fantastic way.
I think it's built my confidence up, and you make new friends, and it's challenging. It's sort of out of my comfort zone. It's something that I haven't really done before, so it's sort of been an experience which has been nerve-wracking at times, but very enjoyable doing.
To be honest, the whole thing, like everything that's happened, I take as an experience, and like working in the actual like full-on production at the Dukes, getting to work with professional actors in the community, it's like, I don't know, the whole thing is just